Shalom. In this Shabbat, we're reading Parashat Behaalotecha. In that parasha, there is passage about the Jewish people complaining about one of there is really specifically three complaints, but I'm going to touch on the issue on the complaints of that they don't have meat to eat. And because we do know that they were eating the manna, and a couple of things. In reality, they had meat. In fact, they have a lot of meat. We do know that another 38 years, when they reached the east bank of the Jordan River, with the Torah says, Gad Reuben, that they had a lot of cattle and sheep, and they wanted to stay on the east bank rather than crossing. Number two, that they were eating man, and the rabbis say that the one who eats man, he can have the taste of anything they want. If they want to eat steak, they can eat steak. If they want to eat hot dogs, they can eat. They can feel that the taste of hot dogs in their mouth. Still, they were complaining. We talked before that I categorized Humash Bamidbar, that has also name of Humash Pikudim, which means the census, as Humash of maturity. They matured. We do know that before, when they got out, they had the mentality of slaves. Little by little, they became mature. There were no much complaining. No much revolt after the issue of Korah, which happened also in the the second year, right after the story of the spies, and then at the end, somebody can argue that they did terrible mistake with Peor. There is no question that they did, but until now we do that, and we are people of 3,600 years old. So it is a Humash of maturity. So now this talk I want to devote to the issue of complaining. We see that all the time. We see, except probably with ourselves, that we don't complain. It is, this one is complaining, this one is whining, this one nothing is good enough for him or her, and so on and so forth. I want so the issue of complaining is that that unfortunately, when somebody keeps on complaining about anything, about the weather, about the heat, about the work, about the traffic, about about anything and everything, the brain becomes wired in a way that it will be easier for him to complain again. He will find an easy way out, and he becomes from occasional complainer to chronic complainer. And this has a significant negative impact on both the person who complains and the people who are around him. How so? As we mentioned before, that the brain becomes rewired in a way that they will complain. However, they found out that the people who complain a lot, there is part of the brain they call the hypothalamus, the hippocampus, is related to the intelligent thinking and problem resolving shrink. So the people who complain a lot, they minimize, they shrink, they diminish their ability to think intelligently and to resolve a problem. Also, they found out that the hippocampus is affected in Alzheimer's disease. So they are bringing a lot of mental issues upon themselves while having a bitter trip through life by complaining and not finding things that they are positive. Also, when people complain, there is a hormone, which is the stress hormone, cortisol, that is secreted. That hormone is known to cause diabetes, to cause high blood pressure, to cause obesity, and many other disease, and that is detrimental to themselves. When it comes to the work atmosphere, there is no question that it has a very terrible effect. In fact, my friend Sami Saka gave me, and many of his friends also, a book called No Complaints. It is written by Jonathan John Gordon. Basically, his thing is that we should not complain, and he, in that book, it mentioned that the cost to the American society is $250 billion a year in lack of productivity, and we see it in every organization. Especially if there are a lot of females working in that organization. This one is too hot, this is too cold, nothing is here, and they backstab each other, and so on and so forth. And that creates, and the complaining in general breeds significant negativity, that a lot of the resources of the organization, instead of being spent on a positive thing, on construction, on growing, on adding value to the company and to the society and to their clients, it is being spent to repair and mitigate and try to resolve that negativity. It's really terrible. And this cause is only in the American society. If you multiply that throughout the world, we see that it is really tremendous. So now, what are the solutions to the chronic complainers? And I want to mention a story, not because I was involved in it, but it is an example on how people see things differently. One time, I was going on the Garden State Parkway, mile between 29 and 25. They closed it because they were building a new bridge. So they diverted the traffic to two-lane bridge that is like 130 years old, that now was demolished because the state did not want to put more money in it. In any event, as I mentioned before, it was two lanes, and we had to travel from one office to the other, and we got stuck in the traffic. That small bridge is absolutely magnificent. It is like 2 feet above water. You can feel, you can hear the waves, you can smell the freshness of the bay. And I realized that I am stuck in traffic. I can't do anything about it. I had one of the beautiful doors that I enjoy listening to. It was cassette tape. I put it on, and I was as happy as a king. And then we went, and the next day I was telling my office manager that you know what, it was a beautiful trip. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It took extra 25 minutes, but I had the best of time. I needed that to be stuck in that position. I never had the opportunity to be on the top of the ocean and feeling like that while being still dry. And she did tell me that you have no idea how the other staff reacted. It is terrible. We couldn't get out. The traffic jam. We couldn't do anything. She said that 180 degrees difference. And she told me that in reality, no, they couldn't do anything about it. And now I do know which approach is more proper. So we have to find that to battle the complaining, we have to find something positive in everything. There is silver lining in everything. A friend of mine who was in jail, he said that he had many he did not have time. He has list of books that he could not read all the time, and now he said that I am in jail. I read all the books that I wanted to read in my life, and I grew. And incidentally, he lost weight. He said that I was exercising when I couldn't do that before. So there is silver lining in everything. And also we should have the gratitude is like, for example, we are experiencing a lot of rain, and everyone is complaining about the rain. But think about that that's what we can do without the rain. It will be desert. We have to have gratitude for that. And some complainers, I used to have a friend of mine that we used to walk in Syria. We didn't ride too much buses, definitely we didn't ride taxis. And every few steps, if like it's hot, we come under shade because it's desert atmosphere, it's cold. So I told him, you know what, stop. It's beautiful walk. I don't know what to why do you complain that much? He said, I expect everything to be perfect. If it's not perfect, I have to express myself. I cannot not express myself. I have to do that. So he's miserable. Nothing is good enough for him. So we have to have attitude. Number two, just like in that book of Jonathan Gordon, he said that if an employee has any complaints, he has to bring it to management with at least one solution. We learned that probably par excellence from Joseph, that he was not complaining. He was explaining the dream of Paro, but immediately the reason that through that attitude, Hashem put him in the second highest person in Egypt, because he brought solution. He did not bring only bad news. He did not bring that it's gonna be famine, it's gonna be terrible. No, he told him there will be famine, but this is what this is what should be done about it. He didn't say himself. And then Paro said that there is no one who can do that like you. Number three, when we have to complain, we have to know what is the purpose. Suppose we had bad merchandise, we bought it and it was bad. The purpose is to try either to get compensation for real damages, legitimate damages, or exchange it or do something. We have to know what is the purpose. And if we're gonna talk to customer service, we have to say that, you know what, I am a customer of Macy's for 30 years and always had good service, good merchandise. This time I don't know what happened, and I need your help to resolve it. And we should end that on a positive note. That I am sincere. I do know that Macy's will come through and they fix the problem, because that was my experience, and this is how we continue to have a good business relationship with them. And we have to be specific. You can't complain about Mary that she's like that, and we have to say that Mary comes late, and we need somebody has to talk to her in a nice way about that. So because her tardiness can affect the organization in general, and everyone has thought that but we have to be rather specific. Now, it would be also good exercise for each one of us There is no one who doesn't complain. We are talking about pathological complaining, that when we complain, let's put check mark. See how many times we complain about anything, about the traffic, about the weather, about the children, about the teacher, about so on and so forth, and then try to analyze what brought us to complaints. And if we do that on daily basis, we will realize that in many instances we can change things. If there will be traffic. If either you have to move somewhere closer to your work, or you have to live in place against traffic, you can do, or find the good ways that you can enjoy the ride. I'm listening to good shi'ur, I'm listening to good music, I'm making my telephone calls in a safe way. If I have a driver, I'm reading good book, and so on and so forth. So we have to analyze ourselves, and the complainers are of three types. Number one, there are chronic complainers, the whiners, that they complain about anything and everything. We should really shy away from them. Just like it is highly recommended to be associated with positive people, we have to distance ourselves from negative people. If somebody is complaining to vent, we have to show really empathy and understanding. It doesn't last long. More than likely, they are not going to listen to us anyway. But showing empathy will shut them up, because if you argue with them that no, it's good, you have no reason, there is no reason, there is millions. Why would you do that? You don't know what she did to me or what he did to me before. And then it will like putting gasoline on fire. It's terrible bad. However, there are type of complaints, like if you are losing customers, if you are holding on technology that is outdated, if somebody who cannot learn the new computer software well, we have to address it in a positive way. Either assign that person who can understand the software to some other task. We have to analyze why we are losing customers. Those are all good positive things. So the moral of the story is that Hashem, when we complain, if there is legitimate complaint, Hashem doesn't punish us. We have few examples. Number one, in Egypt, when Moshe came to talk to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh reacted that, you know what, not only I'm not going to free them, I'm going to make them more miserable. They have to pick up the hay to make the bricks. They told him, you know, that you made the things worse. Hashem didn't. He understood. He know that that was for their benefit. When they were going out of Egypt by the Red Sea, they looked behind them and they saw that there are no grapes in Egypt. That we told you we don't want to get out. Hashem didn't punish them at all. They crossed the Red Sea. They didn't have water. It was bitter. He didn't bother them. But here, that when there is no reason to complain and somebody complains, Hashem doesn't tolerate it. Hashem is more Rahman than any one of us, any of his creature. Still, for us, it will become really intolerable for somebody to complain for absolutely nothing. So we have to take to heart these factors. If we to minimize our complaining, we have to look at ourselves. Number one, we have to find gratitude for whatever we have, for the rain, for the weather, for the sun, for everything. Number two, that there is silver lining in everything. It is our challenge to find that silver lining. And number three, if there is legitimate complaint, we have to come with solution to that if we can. If we cannot, then we have to enjoy the ride because we can't do anything about it. So may Hashem give us wisdom, and so to understand those. This way we'll go through life with gratitude, with happiness, with all good things. Shabbat Shalom.